Hey guys, what's up? It's Looney TNT. So today, 10 years ago, the Burning Crusade was released. 10 years ago. That is just so crazy. So today, I thought I'd tell you guys some of my Burning Crusade stories as I fly around the Burning Crusades, because this was a magical place for a lot of players. And that sounds weird, but the Burning Crusade was just... I don't know how to explain it. The first time that I stepped into Outlands, the first time that I did ramps, it felt so amazing. I was a warrior at the time, and that's what I played for most of the Burning Crusade. Actually, I don't think I played anything else except a warrior. I might have made some alts here and there, but the warrior was the class that I played. Obviously, I leveled a shaman and things like that, but the warrior was my main spec, and I remember tanking on him, and back then it was a lot different than now. Taunt didn't work. Tanks had to deal with threat. There was a lot of differences, and you can say it was good, you can say it was bad, but man, it was fun. I couldn't be the main tank because I couldn't keep aggro very well. I was a newer player. I was not experienced in raiding. This is beautiful. Look at this area. I've spent more time here than in any zone that I've ever played. This was an amazing, amazing zone. I remember killing all the animals for all the animal quests, and killing the big guy, the giant over in this where that little mountain is right in front of us. This was fun, but I couldn't main tank because I just couldn't keep aggro. I had a blue mace from ramps all the way through till Wrath of the Lich King. I was so unlucky. I could not get the King's Defender. I was a tier 4 warrior. That's as far as I got. I did everything in tier 4. I did Karazhan, Gruuls, Mags. I did all that, and I felt tough, right? I had the shield off of Nightbane, and the only piece that I was missing was that King's Defender. I just could not get it off the chest event. It never dropped for me. But that didn't matter, and I wasn't able to see Illidan. I wasn't able to kill those things. But, it's a lot different because a lot of players expect to see content, and back in the Burning Crusade, I felt I had to earn the content. And that might sound kind of weird, but I remember I saw a tier 6 warrior for the very first time. And realms are a lot different. We have like cross realms, and you'll see a bunch of people in your town, Thunderbluff, that aren't even from your realm, right? But back then, realms actually mattered. And I remember seeing a tier 6 warrior, and I was shocked. He was actually in one of my groups. I was going to tank ramps because ramps was the only heroic that I could do because I knew it, and I sucked at every other one. So ramps was the one that I could do. And I was going to tank it, and someone said they had a friend. So his friend came. I went back to town. I changed my spec because back then you had to physically go change your spec. So I changed my spec, came back, and it was a tier 6 warrior, and man, it was amazing. I remember the feeling. I was like, this guy, we could go do Karazhan and solo it as a 5-man, which obviously, we couldn't. But that's how I felt. And just those feelings, that's what kept me in this game. That tier 6 warrior is the only reason I raid today. Because I saw the power in the gear. And I wanted to be like him. So I wanted to get better, and I wanted to learn. Look at this zone. This zone's amazing too. Beautiful. But I wanted to be like him. I wanted to get better. I wanted to, lead the group. And, I did my best, and unfortunately I sucked. Let's just be honest. And eventually I learned, and I started playing better, and that was in, Wrath of the Lich King. But even though I was a bad player, even though I wasn't very good, it didn't hinder my experience. I had so much fun. I remember the first time that I actually healed Gruul's Lair. So I was actually on my wife's account because she was a resto druid, right? Because I was like, hey, let's do some arenas, right? My wife wants to play the game. You can be a healer, and I can be the DPS. So we actually ran Arms Resto Druid, which at that time was just so OP. But we both didn't know what we were doing, so it never went very well. Back then, you started at, I believe it was 1,500 rating, and you had to get 10 games in, and your highest rank at the end of the week is how you got points to buy stuff, and it was pretty different. Look at this zone. Oh, Blade's Edge Mountain, so cool. But I remember playing her druid, and I was like, all right, I could heal this. And they're like, hey, you keep the tank alive, that's your job. And I was like, all right, that's pretty easy. All I have to do is just put up these, I forget what spells she had, but there was like 2 dots, right? Or 2 hots. I think it was Rejuvenate and Regrowth. I think those were the 2. And I was like, this is gonna be easy. So I put those 2 up, and the tank died. And I was like, I had all my heals on him. I don't know what happened. And I was eventually kicked from the group, and that was a very interesting experience. My first healing experience. My first tanking experience was Karazhan for raiding, and I was actually raiding with, I forget who they were, and I forget what the guild was called because it was such a long time ago. But they were actually part of Old Guard, which is a pretty big guild on Conjurus right now still. And they were merged off it, and they were like the first Old Guard. There was Old Guard, and then there was some players that wanted to play a little bit more hardcore, so they started their own guild from that guild. And they were still friends and stuff, but it was just a whole deal. And I raided with them, and they taught me it was a druid tank, and he taught me how to tank and do all this stuff. And I remember it was every Sunday we would raid Karazhan, and it would take 6 to 7 hours, and we would do that straight. And I didn't have a computer desk, so my computer desk was sitting on some like super low coffee table, and I would sit like Indian style, cross-legged the whole time. So my back and my legs I hurt the entire time, but I loved it. It was so fun, and I loved to raid. And eventually my wife started raiding with me, and it was, not the best experience for raiding, because me and my wife started raiding a lot in Wrath of the Lich King, and that's probably one of my fondest memories of raiding. But not to say that raiding right now isn't really fun. It's just that was my first. I was a raid leader in Wrath of the Lich King, so it was a little bit different. And I got to pick my guys, and it's different. But the Burning Crusade was every dungeon, every zone, everything. You look at the map, which I probably don't even have a lot of it. Oh, let's go this way. Oh, yeah, Area 51, or what is it called, Area 52, or something like that. That was a fun, beautiful zone. And I remember questing in all these zones. I'm not a quester. That's one thing that you guys probably don't know about me. I hate quests. I hate to go out. I hate to do this. I like to get gear. I like to kill things. I like to loot things, and that's what I like to do. I hate questing. But the Burning Crusade, I quested in every single zone. I tried to do every single quest that I needed to do. And it was because you had to, kind of back then. But it was just, it was so fun. I have some of my best memories in the Burning Crusade. So to think about it and just think 10 years ago, this game was released. It really changed my life. And I know that sounds kind of weird and generic, but it really did. what I like to do is I just, me and my wife, we both like to hang out at the house. You know, we do so much for our jobs and our work. When we're just exhausted, we don't want to go out and do things. We're like, hey, you want to go play some World of Warcraft? And that's what we do. So to have a game that we can both interact and play and just make so many fun memories, I just loved it, you know. So the Burning Crusade was a huge part of World of Warcraft's success, obviously. And it's one that they've tried to replicate, and there's no way to replicate the Burning Crusade. There are certain expansions where they can do everything they can. They could remake the expansion, but they will never create the experience of the players first stepping into those dungeons for the very first time, or flying through this pink thing and going into a luscious forest when you were just out in a just, you know, I don't know, too much cool stuff. Alright guys, that's about it. It's crazy to think that 10 years ago we would be where we are today. Now that said, would I go back and do it all over again? I'm not sure. You know, there's a lot of questions about legacy servers and doing all this other stuff, but there were a lot of bad times also. The game runs very smooth now. The raiding encounters are very like just tuned for what we need. You know, it's, I don't know. It's a very hard decision to make, but if it did come out, I probably would. And I'd probably level my warrior once again, and I would definitely tank. So, that said, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have some experiences of the Burning Crusade. If you do, I'd love to hear them. Please leave them in the comments. I will read all the comments to hear your stories. And if you didn't get to experience the Burning Crusade, I highly encourage you to go and quest in the Outlands. Don't skip it. It's very easy to skip. It's very easy to outlevel. Don't miss the experience. Alright guys, like, favorite, share, subscribe. Do what you need to do. And I'll talk to you guys soon.